Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Here. Please rise for the pledge and remarks by Councilmember Hug.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This will be one of those rare times I am asking you to stand. Recently, we had a very significant loss in the city. I was informed this morning that the two girls, they believe they found the other two girls, the three girls that drowned. So if we just have a moment of silence for those victims and their families, please. Thank you. Okay, you can be seated. Thank you.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of legislative chambers.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Omaha City Council. We appreciate having you here today. We look forward to hearing your testimony on our many items. I would encourage you to turn your cell phones off or at least to vibrate. If you have any difficulty hearing the proceedings today, you may contact our meeting attendant here at the diocese for our listening device, or there's also closed captioning and a screen in the back of the room. Madam Clerk.
Item 6, to consider a Class C liquor license for Bariana Walla located at 17903 Pierce Plaza.
The public hearing and vote on number 6 is today. Proponents, please.
Representing Biryani Wala, Biryanis LLC, 17903 Pierce Plaza, Omaha, Nebraska 68130.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. There's a motion to approve in a second. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug.
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 7, to consider a Class C liquor license for La Casa del Pollo located at 2405 N Street.
The public hearing and vote on number 7 is today. We have the applicant by Zoom. Ms. Connor will get you off mute here in a second. Okay, try that.
Hi, Nikki Connor, 190 32 R Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68135. Here on behalf of the applicant for any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Yes. Bagley. Harding. Yes. Hug. Yes. Johnson. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 8, to consider a Class C liquor license for Stories Coffee located at 15526 Spalding Street, Suite 101.
Public hearing and vote on number 8 is today. Also Ms. Connor by Zoom.
Yes, Nikki Connor, 190 32 R Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68135. Stories is just opening up a new location.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other proponents on number 8? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Move the approval.
Motion is second to approve. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Yes. Hug. Yes. Johnson. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thanks. Good luck.
Item 9, to consider a Class C liquor license for Staybridge Suites located at 7825 Davenport Street.
Public hearing and vote on number 9 is today. Proponents, please.
Jeff Macco, Sapphire Properties LLC for Staybridge Suites, Omaha, 7825 Davenport Street, Omaha, 68114.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Yes. Bagley. Harding. Yes. Hug. Yes. Johnson. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thanks.
Item 10, to consider a Class I liquor license for the Reading Room located at 1505 Farnham Street.
The public hearing and vote on number 10 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi. This is Samantha Morley for the reading room. Address is 1505 Farnham Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68102.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you. Samantha, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
This is your moment in time to sell your pitch
Okay.
regarding your business. So if you could give us a commercial, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't really expecting this, but okay. Okay. So the reading room is a reading lounge. It's going to be located in downtown Omaha. The purpose of it is to provide a comfortable, relaxing space for people to go and read. You notice with like a lot of bookshops, they want you to just buy items, leave, or they're not very comfortable, you know, for coffee shops, things like that. So this just kind of brings everything all together. You get a reading lounge with comfortable furniture, a full bar of product. There's going to be alcohol, non-alcoholic, coffees, teas, and some food items. So finger foods, fruit platters, so on and so forth. Not a full kitchen. So it's just a nice little service to offer the community.
In the downtown area,
Yeah.
and similar to the mills on 30th and Leavenworth, from what I'm hearing.
I don't know.
They have the same business concept.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Item 11, a resolution to approve the preliminary plat for Vinton Silos Edition located southwest of 34th and Vinton Streets. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
The public hearing and vote on number 11 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Justin Insinger, 16934 Brown Street. Part of the development team and also the engineer on the project. Here to answer any questions. Looking forward to getting this thing moving forward. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Excuse me. Good afternoon. Patrick Mason, 11506 Nicholas Street, Suite 200. Just here as a proponent of the project and grateful to be here today and just ready to answer any questions you have for us.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Please come down.
Richard Pollock, 3276 Haskell, Omaha, Nebraska, 68102. I live right on the street that attaches to that property. The fence is literally 1 house away from us. It's been a private street for my whole life. You know, parents bought it when we were little kids. And I mean, what kind of fallout are we going to suffer from that? I mean, it's going to be a lot more traffic. Is there going to be an entrance at the bottom of my street? Those silos have been there for 60 years, maybe. I mean, how much debris is going to be in my yard, in my house, in my backyard? My dog's going to breathe it in. What are the property taxes going to be like? I mean, yeah, I'll be opposed to this project.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to speak as well?
I live at the same address and I have the same issues as
Okay.
he does.
All right. Does that conclude your remarks for now?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other opponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, public hearings closed. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
Patrick, would you come up, please? A week ago yesterday, we together had a town hall, and my impression was it was standing room only. I didn't count, but judging by the chairs and the amount of people that were standing, I would say we had at least 100 people there. Would you say that's accurate?
Again, I didn't count either, but my guess was, yeah, over 50. Definitely, there was a lot of people there.
And you heard all their concerns.
Yeah, I felt like we did a good job of listening and addressing and laying out the steps we still have ahead of us, which still outlines plenty of opportunity for continued engagement. So absolutely, I feel like we did a really good job.
And through this lengthy process, I think you and I started talking almost a year and a half ago about this project.
Correct. We've always maintained a very open dialogue.
With me, you have, absolutely. And but when I have residents come forward with concerns, I know when I ask you to communicate with these guys, I know you're going to do that. So before you leave, get these gentlemen's phone number so we can so you can stay in contact with them. And as part of our effort to keep the neighbors informed, we do have an email group set up. So if you want to get information and updates on this project, contact our office. We'll add you to the email list. And I don't know were you guys there that night? I'm sorry. Okay, we'll talk later. So it's my understanding we are very early in this project. And before you can go any further, we have to have the traffic study completed.
Correct. It's underway, right? Well, I can't say it's underway. It's ordered, correct? It's underway, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to acknowledge that we had a successful town hall, and success is based upon the turnout, and that I've been very happy with your communication. Anytime of the day or night I've called you, if you didn't answer, you called me back within 30 seconds.
I can usually hear my kids in the background, but yeah.
I appreciate that. So anything else you want to add?
No, just to reiterate a lot of what we said last week, and many of you have known of us and what we've been up to for the last almost 3 years. So there's a reason it's been a slow process, and there's a reason that we've been tried to find a balance between not freaking people out, but also being transparent, because all the way down to how we've designed it this far, we've been very intentional on recognizing the fact that we're in the middle of a neighborhood and one that's been around a long time. So that will not change. We're always happy to have one-on-one conversations with people. I'm down at the site all the time. Yeah, nothing but good intentions, but we do understand the sensitivity of it. It's not a small undertaking, but we're very intent upon completing the project. And to your point, it is still early in sense of entitlement, but as I said, we've been working on it for 3 years, and this is getting real enough that we want to be open with everybody about it.
And not to put you on the spot, but I am going to put you on the spot. So you would be willing to have another town hall meeting once we get the traffic study back, to let the public and the neighbors see the results of the traffic study?
Our intention is to do another one between the traffic study and actually going in for tax increment financing, because I think everybody knows pretty well TIF attracts a lot of attention no matter what project it is. So we want to be sure that we're being open with everybody about what we're doing and the timing behind it all. So again, that's still probably our biggest hurdle yet to come. So a really good window here to still work with you to schedule that the same way we did. And I'm appreciative of it, because I think some may or may not know, but when we hosted a neighborhood meeting 2 years ago for the EBA and CRA designation, no one showed up. So your support in getting the word out, which you're always questionable of because you don't want to over broadcast something and again scare people, but I feel like we're doing the best we can and appreciate your support.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, I just have one
yeah.
question. We had two gentlemen that came up and they asked the question regarding the movement of traffic in that area.
Yep.
Are you prepared to answer that question at this time, or talk about that to reassure them, or at least make preparations for next steps to address that question?
Yeah, the traffic study is going to tell us the remainder of what we need to know, but before we ever even, I would say before we even bought the site, and even part of what, I may go a little bit deeper here than you're asking for, but parking a site like that in the middle of a neighborhood is the #1 biggest challenge. So if we wanted to treat the site like every other, not every other site, but a lot of what we have in terms of infill sites in Omaha that are accessible to the transit types we have, you have to build a giant parking structure. You just have to, like, look at our comparable developments. And so what we're intentional in doing is not blasting the entire site with one gigantic podium that's just shoveling cars in one certain direction. So there are 3 points of access to the site, which we are limited on. In the grand scheme of things, there are only so many things you can do with a site that's located right up against the interstate there. Yes, construction is going to be messy. Dust remediation and mitigation of the site is going to improve that site. The temporary construction process, I can promise as a dad of 4 that if I lived right next to there, I would want what we're going to do versus what is there, because it's not safe. And we've tried to remediate it. We've tried to do the best we can in managing it for 3 years, but it should not be there the way that it sits anymore. And so we fundamentally believe that the temporary, I guess you'd call it, disruption of construction will significantly, will be minimal in comparison to the long-term benefits. But to traffic specifically, again, we've taken that very, very heavily into consideration, because I think with the amount of space we have, if we wanted to try and further densify that site in comparison to comparable developments, we're going lighter than a lot of competing developments or within our proximity. So we're sensitive to it, and we are doing the best we can, but the options are limited when you're in the middle of a neighborhood.
So I guess I would feel a little bit more comfortable if you would agree to take their numbers down.
100%.
And
yes.
kind of have that one-on-one conversation. I don't know the reason why they didn't attend the meeting, why they haven't been engaged, but if they're directly impacted by your development, I think some special consideration should be done.
That 34th Street is going to be fully improved, which is currently a gravel road. So it is part of our intention as construction grows closer. And it was a big question at the meeting, was especially for those who are going to be impacted by even the simplest, what we would see in construction is a street closing for truck traffic for 1 day or 2 days. We are very intentional about communicating those as far in advance as we can. So we're in no way, shape, or form I guess, ignoring the fact that it's going to change the neighborhood. We're just trying to do it in the best way we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hug.
Just to point out to Councilmember Johnson, city staff is getting their contact information right now to be added to the group email for that neighborhood.
Thank you.
All good?
Mr. Hug, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Motion to approve.
There's a motion, a second to approve. I'm supportive of this today, too. I met with one of your colleagues just last week. I like the concept of building your apartments into what has become a landmark in Omaha, the silos there that everybody knows, and doing that in a smart and creative way, in addition to the Field Club trail there, and also potentially some public art. So I think you're doing it the right way in the first step here on preliminary plat, and we'll continue to get down into the more details as you keep working. There's a motion, a second to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thanks.
Item 12, an ordinance to rezone property located at 6636 North 31st Avenue from R435 District to R5 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
This item has been postponed for 2 meetings now, and the public hearing was already held. The vote can be today, but I know an interest in delaying this item was to see if the applicant would appear before City Council, which has not occurred to date. So I want to ask if the applicant is here today. I don't see it. Council members, Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Deny?
I'll second. I don't see any further lights. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 13, an ordinance to rezone property located at 2009 South 7th Street from GC District to R7 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
This item has also been delayed for a couple of public meetings. The public hearing was already held. The public hearing actually is today, and the vote can be today. We're hoping this applicant is here today to talk about this project. Proponents, please. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Is the applicant here or any proponents to this item? I don't see it. Are there any opponents? Yeah, please come down.
Hello, my name is Kelly Enriquez. My address is 2003 South 8th Street. I live like a street above, and I guess my concerns are the same as the past meetings, is that the applicant hasn't been here to answer some of the questions that I have regarding this project. And it's been like an ongoing pattern with this applicant. I'm not necessarily opposed to the actual project itself, but I would like more information since it is in my neighborhood and I've been living there for about 20 plus years or so. So I would like a little bit more transparency because I've seen that there are similar projects that have similar issues. So yeah, I would just like more transparency about this project. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Any other opponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, public hearings closed. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I know it's your job to ask if the individuals here, but I'm going to ask one more time. Is the individual here is associated with this request? Okay, I'll make a motion to lay it over till, can we lay it over 6 months?
It has to be to a date certain.
Date certain? Okay, what would you like, suggest, recommend? I'm willing to negotiate.
I would suggest a shorter time frame. I don't think it's too much to ask someone to come to represent their project to the city council sooner than 6 months from now, maybe 1 month from now at the most.
Well, there's no June in my calendar.
Third is
Well, that's coincidental because I was thinking June 17th. That's about 60 days.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yeah.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mr. Harding, you're recognized.
Thank you. I think I see the sentiment of the board here, but I will point out that this is currently has commercial zoning on it, and it's being down zoned, if you will, to a less intensive use for residential. What could occur on this property today with the current zoning is much more intensive use of the property or of the ground than residential. And so I'll call on, sorry to blindside you, Mr. Fanslow, but
That's okay.
If you could give a couple of examples of what could happen in GC, it might be appropriate.
Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning. Yeah, GC zoning is one of our more intense zoning districts. We don't have a lot of GC zoning anymore, and when we have the opportunity, we try to support zoning away from GC. So, yeah, auto body, auto repair, all sorts of, I call them messy or dirty commercial uses can take place in GC by right without anything but a building permit.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And I will note, I'm not sure why Mr. Paskar is not here today, but I do know that he was present at the planning board when this originally went through the planning board. But again, it seems like the sentiment of the board is to lay this over for a period of time, and maybe Mr. Paskar can appear at that point.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Begley.
Thanks, Mr. President. Just to verify, this is, the ask is for a third layover on this. Is that in essence what we're doing here? Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. And Mr. Paskar, if you're listening, this body is waiting for you. We've been patient. Out of respect for my colleague, Mr. Hug, I'm going to vote for the layover, but this is getting ridiculous. You're wasting the time of this council. So my hope is that you do what you need to do and you get down here so we can get this public hearing done and voted on. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Hug?
Although I clearly understand Councilman Harding's concerns, there is a value to having individuals requesting rezoning to be here, because proponents, opponents can both be here to speak. And without having the principal here to be able to answer those concerns or hear those concerns, regardless how good it is or how the benefit it may be, those opponents and proponents are entitled to be able to talk to the owner. And I think they're entitled to that. So I made a motion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Rowe?
Thank you. Just as a little bit of history, I wanted to ask a couple of questions as well. It seems like back a month or so ago, the applicant asked about withdrawing the application. Was that right?
I think it was a request to postpone at the time.
Yeah, I think I was reading it that he said he wanted to put it on indefinite hold. So my question is, if we were to just deny this like we did the, item number 12, what's the time frame for him to come back with another request? Is that for Mr. Pence? Would he have to go through, Dave? Would he have to go through planning board?
He would, yes. Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning, yes, that a new application would be required to go to planning board.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hug?
Councilman Rowe, I would support that 100% if this individual fails to show up in 60 days.
All right, there's a motion and a second to lay over to June 17th. No further lights, roll call.
Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 14, a resolution to approve a major amendment to a large project special use permit to allow development over 10 acres in the GO district located southeast of 42nd and Pacific Streets. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
The public hearing and vote on number 14 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Trevor Vesperna with TD2 Engineering and Surveying, 10836 Old Mill Road. We're the engineers on the project, and I'm here representing Douglas County. They are constructing a new mental health facility. As part of their large project, we need an amendment to the large project special use permit. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents?
Hi, my name's Teresa Cassidy. I live at 4211 Poppleton. Hi, Danny. I don't know that I'm an opponent. I just don't know anything about the project other than I got 2 letters that said that there was a hearing. I couldn't come to the last one, so I'm here today. I live on the corner that looks at 42nd Street, and I will tell you that 42nd Street is already kind of a strained area because of the med center, and because I feel in some ways like Morton Meadows is a neighborhood on a precipice, because it starts to decline as you go north toward Leavenworth. Now, I know that the med center is taking over a lot of that, but I think that maybe the impact hasn't really been revealed of what that does both to traffic and to the values of the properties in Morton Meadows. I've had couple of meetings with Danny. He's been gracious enough to come and address concerns I have with Poppleton being like a raceway, that people drive down that street at inordinate speeds because it goes all the way through. And then you have Saddle Creek, which I guess has decided to return to its original origins of being a creek. So I just want the city council and the city of Omaha and the developers and everyone involved to understand there is an impact. We have an established neighborhood. There's a strong desire for people who work and live at the Med Center to have housing, and there's a shortage. I can see it because it's spring and there are very few homes for sale. So I don't know what the proposal is. Maybe I need to learn more, but I'm just here to say, is everything being considered? Will we have a voice, or is this a done deal? The other thing I will tell you, because I live facing the juvenile detention center, and I know that there are plans to move. I think it's stalled because they don't have as many beds and they can't get to that quota or the reduced quota, but I can literally hear people, children, screaming at night from where I live. Maybe no one knows that.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Bagley.
Thanks, Mr. President. I guess a couple questions for Mr. Fanslaw.
Dave Fansel, City Planning.
Dave, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you just articulate what the special use permit, what this application does generally?
Sure, yeah. So the use has obviously been established at the larger site for a number of years, decades. And when, in situations like this, when major revisions to that site plan or in many forms comes to the department, we have the choice to do minor amendments or major amendments. But when something of this magnitude comes to us in application form, it's a major enough change to their site and to their operation where, yeah, it requires planning board consultation and city council approval.
Okay, and this, my reading of the materials is, so the demolition of the existing building, constructing a new building, it offers the identical services that was currently being provided, is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and so that's inpatient psychiatric treatment. It says it's for up to 16 people, as well as outpatient treatment for about 12 patients a day. And then it talks about parking. There's currently 60 parking stalls serving the facility now, and the new design will have up to about 95 stalls. Is that your understanding, Dave?
Correct, yes.
And this is for the Douglas County Hospital?
It is, yes.
Okay, come on back up. Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, here's the other thing that I hadn't even mentioned. The lighting from the Douglas County Hospital is so bright that our neighborhood literally looks like it's lit up all night. I'm fortunate I live on the other side of two homes that kind of block that, but is there a way that they could direct the light to the parking lot and not completely light the neighborhood? I just really feel like you have a beautiful established neighborhood there, and if they're not considering what the impact would be to more of that, and I don't oppose this kind of usage, probably very necessary, but we've got to take the whole picture into consideration, or it will deteriorate our neighborhood. And it's one of the gems of Midtown and desirable. You have people paying inordinate amounts of money for homes there, but it's lighting and traffic and disruption. It's just a lot of things that I think need to be considered.
I appreciate your comments, and I got one more question for Mr. Fanslaw, but one of the things you had mentioned, you can sit down.
Okay.
Thanks, you don't have to stand there anymore, is the raceway. I understand that completely, living in Morton Meadows. You're familiar with the western edge on Saddle Creek and Leavenworth. They just got done with the construction of the intersection there. And when you talk about raceways, there's 4 gentlemen sitting over your shoulder from the Omaha Police Department that are here on a different item. And I can assure you that that is probably, that's an item we got coming up later on our agenda to deal with those types of issues. But I understand that the traffic in the neighborhoods and in the city, and Omaha Police does a great job on the enforcement with the resources they have. A question for one more, Dave, for you, a question, please.
Sure.
When these developments come, I know I've learned 4 years on the council, if there's noise or lighting issues, that is part of, that's something under the purview of the planning department, correct?
So yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning, yes, noise, smell, pollution, lighting, all falls into the zoning code. I will say that this is obviously a special use permit too, so there are certain conditions that Douglas County will have to meet and to operate under a certain way to be in conformance with their, if it gets approved, their special use permit. I'll take this time to address the lighting. Our codes require that lighting be downlit, so there are supposed to be no overspill of lights from property line to property line. So if that's the case, we can talk later, or you can contact me, and we can talk about that, and we can get somebody out to take a look. But yeah, any of the lighting on that site should be limited to within the property lines of this site.
Thanks, Dave. And
Sure.
I know in 4 years I've dealt with that, and your question, it's not the first time I've got that. And in fact, I get them from both sides that people want more lighting. So that's a balance we have, and that's why you got smart people in the planning department with stuff on the books already. And if that's too much light, then Dave's people do a great job of running it down. And you certainly know where to get a hold of me if you got those questions. I am going to be supportive of this because that's a very unique property there. It's been there forever, and it's a rebuild of it. And as we all know, mental health crisis that this community and the nation, for that matter, faces. This is something I'm going to be supportive, but mindful that I live in Morton Meadows, and you know where to get a hold of me when this is going on. If there's those future issues, I'll be glad to talk to you. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Another comment.
Please.
I don't know, one of my neighbors asked about easements, and so, just being cognizant that maybe they're not built to the street, but as they're building it, that they consider that it could be a place where people could walk, or, they could have green space. I don't know. There isn't currently a sidewalk on that side of the street, but maybe the planning could include something like that. I don't know. I don't know where everyone is in the process. I'm just making suggestions that there's a way for them and us to coexist beautifully, peacefully, and, with some aesthetics in mind.
Thank you. Dave, one more shot at that? With the sidewalks?
I'm not sure who the question, but yeah, sidewalks will be constructed on that side of the street as part of this project.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be supportive of this project today, too. I've talked with some county board members about it. I do think it's a positive step for the hospital and for the community to have an independent mental health facility on the campus there that currently is housed within the hospital. And as Councilmember Bagley said, high need throughout the community for these kind of services. And I think with this new building that's already underway and their idea about a downtown component to the jail, combined with the new children's mental health facility that's going to open in 2026, and the new adult services at a Community Alliance, which is already open, we're seeing some really good movement to help those in need in mental health crisis in the community. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 15, a resolution to approve the Mueller Apartments Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan located at 2226 Howard Street in an amount up to $852,814.
Public hearing and vote on number 15 is today. Proponents, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Don Seaton, City Planning. This project is located at 2226 Howard Street towards the west end of downtown. It involves a single lot that had contained an older single-family home. That home has been raised in a new 4-story apartment building with 34 market-rate apartment units will be constructed. The owners, developers are Lee and Brian Mueller. They're looking at a total investment in the neighborhood of about $9.6 million. The TIF support for the project is $852,814. Project meets the required criteria of our TIF program. It's an appropriate land use for the area. It complies with the city's master plan, and we ask for your approval.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Good afternoon, Council. McKinley Wilson, 10250 Regency Circle, Suite 300, Omaha, Nebraska. Here today on behalf of the applicants, Brian and Lee Mueller, who are also here today. And again, not to rehash everything that Don just went over, but Brian and Lee truly do have a great project here on their hands, especially given the proximity to the ORP line and also the Omaha streetcar line as well. And so just provides another option for individuals looking to live close to public transportation. Again, as Don mentioned, it was previously the site of a dilapidated single-family residence, and it's in a 4-story apartment building is going to be constructed there with 34 units, and construction is estimated to be completed by next April. And again, Brian and Lee are here today and are more than happy to answer any more detailed questions about the project, and we respectfully request that you approve our project today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Begley, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'll make a motion to approve this. Are Brian and Lee, where are they at? Are they back? There they are. Hey, good to see you guys. I know it seems like we met 100 years ago, but it was June 6th of 24. You came down and talked to me in my office, and here we are today. This is a cool part of being on the city council. You meet people and then you see what their plans are. Does it fit in the neighborhood? And all those things are the affirmative. So I'll be glad to make a motion to support this today and keep an eye on that development there and look forward to getting you moving. And thanks for investing in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Begley.
Aye.
Harding. Hug.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 16, a resolution to approve the 2214 Florence Boulevard Revitalization Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan located at 2214 Florence Boulevard in an amount up to $241,850.
Public hearing and vote on number 16 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Don Seaton, City Planning. This is a residential development in North Omaha. It involves the rehab of a long vacant and deteriorated historic row home building at 2214 Florence Boulevard. That structure is presently on the city's demo list for code violations. But the developer will undertake a comprehensive rehabilitation of the structure, and the result will be 12 two-bedroom apartment units. The developer is Pine Grove Investment, LLC. It's managed by Brian Nix. Total investment in the neighborhood is about $1.3 million. The TIF support for the project is $222,110. You know, it's a nice vintage building that's been a real problem in the neighborhood and been abandoned and neglected for a long time. So we're fairly enthusiastic to see this project get going and see that building rehabilitated. The project meets the criteria of our TIF program. It's appropriate land use for the area. We ask for your approval.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Brian Nix, owner and developer, here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. And Brian, your address?
What's that?
Your address for the record?
162 Alpine Drive, Bishop, California.
Okay. Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Nix,
Yes, ma'am.
how are you today?
Good, and you?
Good. What level of engagement have you had in the community on this?
We've reached out to all the community, all the different community players, our neighbors in the community. We've sent out emails and talked with people.
So have you had a community meeting of any kind?
We've not held a community meeting now. With this being, it was previously, I think, a 12-unit apartment complex. It's just been abandoned for some amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not really changing the use of what's there. We're just making it a lot better for the community.
Okay, I guess my overall, great that your interest in terms of coming and wanting to develop this area. However, I'm a really big proponent in getting people involved in what we're going to be doing so that we can be successful at the end of the day when the project is over. I'd like to see some more of that kind of conversation going on. Should neighbors have some concerns, parking, et cetera, maybe we can answer those questions. In addition to that, sending emails out in this area here it's kind of spotty as to whether or not you're able to make a huge impact on getting that information out via email. Some type of communication is definitely something that I would encourage.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And we've also had, we're partnering with Front Porch Investments to commit the property for 20 years to low-income housing
Right.
In the area.
See, that makes it more important that we make sure that we elevate and make sure that we're hitting all cylinders so that we are successful at the end of the day. Are you up against any timelines of any kind coming up, or?
We're trying to have this done within about a year of all the approvals getting done.
Okay.
As far as timelines, like in the TIF process, we put a year after we get the approvals.
All right. Can we, or is there any reason why we wouldn't be able to delay this until the next meeting, which would give me an opportunity to sit down with you and also engage the community to have some conversation?
Whatever you think is best, ma'am.
Pardon me?
Yes, ma'am.
You are open to that?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I motion to lay this over until May 6th.
Motion to lay over to May 6th. Ms. Melton, you're recognized.
Thank you. Well, first, we're taking a building that the taxpayers are going to have to pay to have demolished, the taxpayers of Omaha, because of the number of code violations. I think there's a picture of it up there. I can't imagine of a neighbor that would rather have this than a new building. I also want to note, I know you stated that your address, if you want to come back up, your address is California, but I note that you are a fire captain with the Ventura County Fire Department out in California, but you have a business here. You have 15 employees here, and you've invested in Omaha. I think because your mom from here?
Yeah, my mom was born and raised here, and I still have quite a bit of family out here. So even before the real estate and other businesses, I've been traveling out here since I was a kid.
Okay, well, and I wanted to make note of that you're not just some out-of-state investor that's going to come flip and leave, that you're actually invested in our community just because you live somewhere else. So I appreciate that. I'd also like you to know that we have a great fire department here. If you ever want to come over, I'm sure they'd love to have a lateral hire. But no, thank you for your investment. Thank you for your investment in taking this building down. That probably should have come down many years ago. and really helping this neighborhood, beautify this neighborhood. And then the fact that it's affordable housing as well. Noted that it's a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,000. And so working with Front Porch, I think on this is absolutely amazing. So, and I do know you said that you talked to some of the neighbors around there. I appreciate that. Continue to do that, because you want those neighbors to call you if there's anything going on at that place. But I fully support that, and I fully support supporting this today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Harding, you're recognized.
So the applicant is not asking for a different use of the property, no rezoning. This is, if you came in with the building permit, assuming everything was in compliance with the current site regulators, it would be approved. Is that right, Mr. Fanslow?
Dave Fanslow, City Planning. Yeah, if the department received a building permit and it met all our current codes, yes, we would review it like we normally do, and in the end, probably issue a building permit.
So I would say that even, I know there's some concerns about you didn't have a public meeting. I don't think it's warranted or needed in this case, because again, you have property rights. You're not changing the use. It's no different than if I came in and wanted to do something different on my lot, tear my house down or rehabilitate my house in some manner, as long as it was in compliance with the zoning regulators, I'd be able to do it. The only reason we're considering this is it has TIF associated with it. So, and it's actually at the plan stage too. So we'll see this again when it gets to the agreement stage, but I don't see any reason to hold your project up at this point. So I'll make the assumption if there's not a second on the motion that's on the floor right now, I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
That's correct. There was no seconds on the delay. There's now a motion and a second to approve. Mr. Rowe, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I had a couple of questions for the developer. This is a remodel, right? It's not a tear down and build.
Correct.
So I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that it's going to be a renovation of a well over 100-year-old building.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna work with the historic? Is it going to be like a historic? The construction going to be, I guess, meeting the historic standards that are. I don't know if is the building on the historic register right now, or
it is with the parks. We are working with for historic tax credits.
Okay.
So they're looking at it also. We want to keep the original look, but modernize all the components to it.
I guess having that information helps me understand exactly what you're going to do. That's a pretty intense requirement to meet. The national parks, when they have that property on that register, they have a pretty strict guideline as to what you can and cannot do. And typically, it's makes for a very nice project. So
yeah, it should look really nice when it's done.
Yeah, appreciate the willingness to take the risk.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no doubt that this is going to be a good project, and when we make mention to the safetiness of the building, we do have an excellent planning department that adheres to code violations. So if there was a risk of safety that this needed to be torn down before May 6th, I'm sure that safety element would have been addressed by now. Secondly, this conversation you and I have not sat down and talked about this. This is a TIF project. It is in my district. Again, we're talking a week, and we have the owner here that is willing to do a week. So I don't understand the significance of a rush here. I'm simply asking for time to talk, engage other people in that neighborhood so that they can have a buy-in and know what's going on. It's important for people to know what's going on in their communities. So I will not be able to support the motion on the floor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hug.
I know that building. I know that street. The concerns I have, I mean, obviously I share the concerns about the neighbors being aware of what's going on, what your plans are. I do share that concern. The other concern is how secure you're going to keep the project while you're working on it. Now, it looks like it's relatively secure from the pictures. Did you secure it, or was it secured when you bought it?
So we've gone through several times and re-secured it. There are break-ins that happen, and since we've owned it, there has been at least one fire that we know of from people breaking in and starting warming fires. And then we re-seal it up, but it seems to, with it being vacant, people find their way in.
The guys with the grain elevator would sympathize with you. But you have a plan in place and staff that is looking at this daily, addressing those break-ins and those potential entry points.
Yeah, we have a property manager that drives by it every few days, and then same thing with construction worker staff that drive by it to re-secure it.
Could we possibly ask, or could I possibly ask that you have your property manager check it daily?
Yes, sir.
And not just drive by it. I'd like to see them walk around it. Not just for my peace of mind, but for your peace of mind, to ensure that your investment's being protected and the neighbors are being protected. And I'm sure you see the value in that.
Yes, sir.
Being a proponent of communication to my constituents and Juanita's constituents, I consider my constituents too. If we approve this today, would you give me your word that you would do some kind of communication effort within the next 2 weeks with the neighbors?
Yes, sir.
And what I have done, and it works well, is we pick a site, we pick a location, we hand deliver flyers around the neighborhood, and at least give them an opportunity to hear from you directly what your plans are, what the benefit's going to be, and make sure that they have a contact point. So if they see or hear of an issue, that they know who to contact. And I think just having that contact person, if they see a break-in, they see an issue, see a concern, they know who to call. It's going to help protect your investment. So does that sound like, I've talked a lot, and I apologize, but
No, that sounds very reasonable.
I see a halfway
Thank
smile.
you.
There it is. Okay. So you're pretty much in agreement with all that then?
Yes.
Okay. If I can help you in any way, put together a town hall meeting or neighborhood meeting, I'm easy to find. Get a hold of me. I'm more than happy to help facilitate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Begley.
Thanks, Mr. President. Councilman Hug that's a reassurance I wanted, and you're not hemming and hawing in your answers. You were willing, if we had a delay of a week, to have a meeting with Councilmember Johnson or anybody in the community. I'm supportive of this because I want to get you going to provide the restoration and getting people housing here for the community. So you pledge a Councilmember Hug, Councilmember Johnson, and I'm not giving you the fifth degree, but I'm good with you looking us in the eye and saying you're glad to have any engagement with the community to reassure them of what you're doing here going forward. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we want community support with all the stuff we're doing.
Okay, thanks for the investment in the community, and I know that you'll keep your word and have that communication with people in the community. They just want to know what's going on, and I think you'll find that when you have those meetings that there might be a little bit of higher tension, if you will, but being there to answer those questions is the best thing you can do, and I'm glad you're pledging to do that. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. I would feel a little bit more comfortable with the fact that you have scheduled an appointment to meet with me and that I am engaged in those conversations that you're having in the community, because that's something that should have been done already. And I'm fairly confident that the city planning department probably told you to reach out to me, and that didn't happen.
I sent you an email and left a couple messages with your office, but I didn't know how to get a hold of you beyond that.
Okay. And when did that happen?
December and January and February.
December, January, and February.
Yeah, December was the email, and then I followed up with phone calls.
Well, I will be certain to look for that. But as you know, emails don't always come through.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I do need to have that conversation and make sure that we are engaging the public, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson.
I'm going to make an exception. Yes, in this case, but we will be.
Let's vote, yeah. Mr. President.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, this is voting stage. You have to say yes or no.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask about code of conduct.
Ms. Johnson, at this point, you have to place your vote.
I'm going to ask of code of conduct.
That is out of order.
The motion
you.
passed 7-0.
Thank you.
No, I'm not answering that question.
She said yes. Yeah, she said yes.
Thank you for your testimony.
Consent agenda. Any member of the city council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the city council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, unless otherwise provided by the city council rules of order.
There's been a request to remove item number 20 off the consent agenda, so item number 20 is removed. The public hearings on agenda items 17 through 19 and 21 through 25 were held on April 22nd. I don't see any further lights. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second to approve those items. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Yes. Hug. Yes. Johnson.
What's the vote?
17 through 19 and 21 through 25.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 20, an ordinance to approve an agreement with the African American Empowerment Network in the amount of $1,057,287 and to authorize funding for such agreement from the fiscal year 2024 Community-Based Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative Grant.
The public hearing on number 20 was already approved. The vote is today. Ms. Johnson, your light is on. You're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Barney, if you would come up, please.
Good afternoon, council members. Willie Barney, 2401 Lake Street.
Thank you, Mr. Barney. Last week, we talked a little bit. I did send first of all, we talked here at City Council, and you agreed to provide a list of the partners that would be engaged in this grant. Do you have the list at this time?
Sure, yes. I can walk you through. The partners, as I mentioned last week in the council meeting, first of all, thank you again for the opportunity to be here. One, we have an initiative called Youth 360 that has been launched. We're very fortunate to have Jennifer Clark that is ministering that, facilitating through Youth 360. The North Omaha Community Partnership with Tamika Meese as CEO. She is here as well. She was here last week as well, came back today. Code Z with his Latron Lewis. We've been working together for nearly 18 years. Leo Lewis with Visionary Lion, who again, about 18 years of work in direct intervention. Riley Protection Group with Brian Riley. Again, we've been working together for about 18 years doing direct intervention. Viable Healing with Roscoe Wallace as the CEO of that organization, who's been doing work in this field for about 7 or 8 years. also has contracts with the county and other organizations, as well as North Omaha Community Partnership. Those are the primary, as I mentioned last week, one of the goals of this has been to support those grassroots organizations that have been doing this work many times without compensation that we call on as an organization, as a city, and others in the community. So those are the primary partners that will be a part of this implementation.
And so can you provide that list of names to the clerk?
Yes.
Thank you. Second, we had a meeting, and I summarized the meeting that we had here at City Council last week. Do you have anything you want to add to the summary that I projected there?
Yes, and I can send you more in writing, but just a few comments. One, you asked about public engagement and public involvement process. Just want to illustrate to you and to the council that I think you're very aware that every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, we have a meeting with anywhere from 80 to 120 community members, intervention specialists, law enforcement, churches, neighborhoods, and others. That's one angle of community engagement that we have been implementing for 18 years. In addition to that, for those that can't make it on Wednesday, we have Saturday meetings, both in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. In addition to that, we host summits in the evening to make sure that there's community engagement there. We participate with pastors and faith leaders where we've gone to their location. We have participated with neighborhoods, as you know. So I think if you look at community engagement in the city of Omaha, the Empowerment Network has always made that center point. And even in this particular strategy, I went back and looked at the number of times we met with the community. Well over 1,000 people have participated in development of this violence intervention strategy. So that was one in public engagement. The second piece that you mentioned was the benefit to South Omaha. In our meeting with Councilman Hugg, we illustrated that some of the partners have been doing work in South Omaha for years. For example, North Omaha Community Partnership, Leo, Latron, Lewis have participated in support of the Cinco de Mayo, but beyond that 1 day or 2 day event, they also do direct intervention with South Omaha on a consistent basis. Step Up Omaha, as you know, in 2012, we expanded to citywide with an emphasis in South Omaha. So we partnered with a number of agencies and organizations in South Omaha. This particular grant is not geographic centered, as I mentioned last week, but it's more focused on the who. And so we can't tell you exactly who yet, because our goal is to take the 70% reduction we've seen in gun violence over the last 17 years, take it down another 50 to 70% by really zeroing in on and working with those families most impacted, some of them involved in those various activities. So the grant is centered to enhance the work that we've been doing, so we can't tell you exactly who or where they live, because that will be determined through the work that we do through research and evaluation.
And before you go any further, this is a summary of what our meeting was about. So you having a conversation with Hug afterwards or whatever?
No, this is in the meeting that we had last week.
In the meeting that we had, because I just wanted you're okay with what I've articulated here as to the essence of our meeting.
Yeah, I don't think there was a specific request to respond to the email, so I'm responding to you
Right, so are you
now.
okay with how I interpreted what we said in the meeting on?
I would add these comments that you asked about, that I would add that to it, and I can send it to you in writing if that's
And
better.
if you would, please.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then afterwards, I did do some research myself because remember in the meeting I had asked about the application that was submitted to it. And at that time during the meeting, we did not have an application. However, I was able to go back to the date of the original ordinance that was put in place. And while I did not see the application that the city council staff has provided me with since that meeting, I did see that there was a documentation regarding the application and the project information. This award, this is the reason why I was asking for information regarding an application, because I knew that the application itself would provide everyone with the scope of work. And so I would just like to, for the record, share what that project work is, the scope of it, so that everyone in the community has an awareness of this, because there was some back and forth conversation in the community because of confusion, because of however we got to the point of having this dialogue with communication. So I want to clear that up. This award is offered subject to the conditions or limitations set forth in the award information, project information, financial information, and award conditions. It also goes on to talk about the application number, the grant manager's name, and who the grant manager is, and point of contact, etc. It talks about the project title, the City of Omaha, Nebraska fiscal year 2024 CVIP application, the period in which this should start and the period it should end. So we're talking October 1, 2024 through through September 30th, 2027. The project description is as follows. The purpose of this project is to expand beyond the engaging networks within the community of Omaha to maintain and promote a safe society, encompass hospital-based violence intervention program funded under FY 2022 CVIP to establish and formalize partnerships with the broader service network embedded in the community. The project will increase ongoing targeted violence intervention efforts that identify and support individuals and families at highest risk of involvement in community violence, particularly retaliatory gun violence. The city's approach will include 1, expansion of street outreach and whole family response. 2, expansion of the Encompass program operated by Nebraska Medicine. Goes on to say, and professionalism of the field through credentializing and continued education for local community organization engaging in community violence intervention, efforts to ensure evidence-formed approaches, including cultural competence and trauma sensitivity, are applied in violence prevention and intervention efforts. This proposal will build upon and formalize the collaborative partnership among the City of Omaha Mayor's Office, the African American Empowerment Network Omaha 360, the University of Nebraska at Omaha School of Criminology and Criminal Justice, and the Nebraska Medical Center. Efforts will also fund the co-creation of community safety strategies led by grassroots street outreach and intervention partners, providing capacity while capitalizing on the momentum and trust built between communities and systems. That's a summary of what this program is for. The application was 71 pages in its entirety, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page. If that caused some inconvenience, I apologize for that, but the intent was to drive home the point of what this application was. I might add, there was some scuffling about communication that had happened with LULAC, with the Department of Justice, and the timetable in which that was brought about coincide with the time that this application was brought to City Council. and there was no discussion, not on your end, Mr. Barney, but sidebar, there were other conversations that were going on, and there was no distinction between A and B. And many of that brought into the miscommunication that brought us into the area of making sure that we clarify what was going on and why this was being dispersed. And I believe we've accomplished that now. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Ms. Melton, you're recognized.
Thank you. And Mr. Barney, I just want to say, I think out of any organization in the city of Omaha, that your organization has had more outreach and community input than any nonprofit organization, city government entity that I've seen. And I think it's that community outreach that you made kind of the core of Empowerment Network when you started it, which is the reason it's been so successful and the reason that cities all over the nation are now trying to contacting you to replicate Omaha 360 in their cities. And so I want to commend you for that. I know that grant applications, especially to the federal government, are very work intensive. You put a lot of work into this. I mean, there's 83 pages detailing literally every dollar of where the grant is going. And by the way, it's already been awarded. It was applied for, it was awarded, the city council already accepted it. And now what we're doing is we're voting on the individual kind of subcontractors that receive the money. You're one of them, UNMC is one. So then we have a separate vote allocating the money from the grant that we've already accepted. So it's too late. We can't send it back to the federal government. We've accepted it. It's sitting in an account. And by the way, we have no choice but to allocate it to the groups that were in the grant application. Yours being one, and I think it's well-deserved. It's well-earned. And I think you've proven over the last 18 years that you'll use the money wisely and that you actually do make an impact. You've made such an impact without this kind of grant that I can only imagine what we're going to be able to do and what we're going to be able to see in the years moving forward. So I want to thank you very much for all the efforts that you've put into that, and I'll move to approve item 20.
There's a motion and a second. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
Mr. Barney, thanks again for coming down and talking to us. I appreciate it. What I heard in that meeting, and I may have been looking for different talking points, but what I heard in that meeting was your explanation of how the current organizations you are using do service South Omaha,
Yes.
my district.
Correct.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I believe you gave an assurance that this grant will continue to be used in the entire city, not only my district, but Danny's district, Mr. Harding's district, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Festerson, and
Yes.
Councilman Melton's district, as well as Councilman Johnson's district. So this money's for the entire city.
Yes.
And that's your intent.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned in the meeting and last week, that these organizations are already doing that work and have been for years citywide, not just North Omaha, citywide, wherever they're called on. And we're thankful for the support of the council to finally be in a position to do something from a financial standpoint to support these organizations because they've been doing the work. They're called on by the network, by the city, by the police, but they're called on by many different agencies to address and prevent violence right now in South Omaha, in North, all over the city. So absolutely. So I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you and answer the questions directly. Yes.
Would you be willing to sit down with me in 90 days? This is just my personal request. Would you be willing to sit down with me in 90 days and identify instances where that grant money was used in my district to the best of your ability? I'm not asking you to keep an itemized list, but I think 90 days, if I could sit down and go over with you and your staff and see how it was used.
Yeah, one piece of this is that our official start to this, it's a 3-year grant, but our official start as the Empowerment Network is in year 2. So October 1, I believe, is the date that we have set where it actually begins. But I'm more than willing to sit down. It doesn't have to take 90 days. As one of the positive things that has come out of the conversation is what more can we do to lift up and support organizations in South Omaha around directly violence intervention and that work. Our organization's already serving there, but we would love to figure out how we could support, partner even more. And so we're more than willing to sit down, not just myself. I want to recognize, thank you, Councilwoman Melton, for your comments. I would definitely want to recognize Nadia Spurlock that wrote the grant for us, the City of Omaha Grants Division that partnered with us, and then those partners that I mentioned, Councilwoman Johnson, and one of them is here, Tamika with North Omaha Community Partnership. She intentionally set up work in North and South Omaha, but those agencies, those organizations have already been doing work in South, but more than willing to see how we can partner even more. So absolutely, that's a long answer to your question, but we're here and we love to support and continue to work with South Omaha.
Thank you, Mr. Burney.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. Thanks again, Willie. Larry, you had a comment that you wanted to make?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, am I limited to 1 minute?
Your name and address, please.
I'm sorry?
Your name and address, please.
All right. I believe you were left with the wrong impression last week, as was
Larry,
he.
your name and address, please.
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue.
Thank you.
68132 for about 8 years now, every week, okay?
It's a requirement. Thank you.
Last week I was left with left you and him with the wrong impression maybe, because I was rudely and I think illegally interrupted, cut off and ordered out for my comments, refusal to go along with Mr. Festerson. What I meant to say last week was to that gentleman was thank him for his work. What I also was trying to say is we should not have had to listen to that long dissertation.
Are you addressing the Empowerment Network contract? That's what you have to address right now.
I'm sorry, what are you telling me?
You have to address number 20 on the agenda right now. That's what we're talking about.
I am commenting to what this gentleman just had to say, and I was invited up again by Juanita.
As long as you speak to this item.
Since it took off the consent agenda, it opens it up to the public discussion.
No, that's not.
That's what the rules used to say.
That's not
okay?
correct.
But I was invited up. The rules used to say that. You've probably changed them.
That's not correct.
And you're interrupting me again.
Speak to
and
item
I
number
don't
20.
like it.
Speak to item number 20.
You are uncivil, sir.
Thank you very much. Ms. Johnson, do you still have the floor? Or was it Mr. Hood? Ms. Johnson.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. There was a motion, a second to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you for your testimony. The public hearings on agenda items 26 through 35 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name and address and who you represent. If you are a proponent or an opponent, these are items 26 through 35. And I'll note for council members, we do have applicants by Zoom for numbers 26 and 27 if needed. I don't see any testifiers on these items. Those public hearings are closed.
Move the approval.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 36, an ordinance to approve the amendment to the Omaha Police Officers Association Collective Bargaining Agreement to adopt a new pay plan. Personnel Board recommends approval. B is an amendment requested by the Law Department. C is communication in opposition.
The vote on number 36 is today. I will note there's an amendment of the whole by the Law Department.
Move the amendment of the whole?
Just an amendment, sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
Move the approval of the amendment.
There's a motion, a second on the amendment. To approve, I don't see any lights. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Motion as amended.
Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 37, an ordinance to create a new section 36-141 of the Omaha Municipal Code, making it illegal to street race, and to amend section 36-232, giving authorities the ability to tow a vehicle belonging to the driver in violation of section 36-141, A is amendment of the whole requested by the Law Department. B is communications and support.
The vote on number 37 is today. The amendment of the whole is noted. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Yes, this question is for the Law Department.
Mackenzzie Law Department.
Thank you. During our pre-council meeting, I asked several times for there to be some acknowledgement, educational-wise, to the general public regarding this change in terms of curtailing speed. Would you like to go on the record to explain your answer, and if you would like to give the why as to your answer?
Certainly. You asked this question, I believe, during pre-council when it was initially brought up a couple of weeks ago, and then in the individual briefings about this, and my answer remained the same, that there would be no community engagement or town halls or anything like that, and I'm happy to give the reasons. This is a criminal ordinance. The adage might sound cliche, but it's an absolute truth that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. I don't believe that the public needs to be informed of something being against the law. It's something inherent that people would know, such as not to steal, not to assault or attempt to assault a significant other, not to drive drunk, and so on. So there seems to be little to no need for a community engagement being done either by the prosecutor's office or the police. But of course, council members are always free to have any type of community engagement that they would want, and we would be happy to assist in those efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Melton.
Move to approve the amendment of the whole.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 38, a resolution to approve the 2024 tax increment financing annual report.
The public hearing and vote on number 38 is today. Public hearing starts now. We'll have a brief overview by the Planning Department.
Good afternoon, Bridget Hadley, City Planning. Just to talk a little bit, or a brief highlight of the TIF program during the 2024 year. The Planning Department has used this saying, and you've heard it a lot, creating places where people can live, work, and play. And it's one of the things we do in our Planning Department in many ways, and the TIF program is certainly another way that we accomplish that. TIF projects, they begin with CRAs. A TIF project has to be located in a community redevelopment area or a CRA. And right now, or as of 2024, only 19% of the city's total acres were in a CRA. And only 12% of the city's total acres are in a EBA, or an extremely blighted area. For activity that occurred last year that was approved by City Council last year, there were 10 TIF projects that were approved, mostly housing and mixed income. A couple of commercial projects. Mixed income involves a mix of housing, retail, and office, or office or retail. Commercial involves office, retail, or hotels. 9 of those projects involved 20-year terms. The total amount of TIF was over $47 million, and the total amount of invested by these projects was about $386 million. It's interesting to note that over the last, that I've been tracking, almost 25 years, the city has had an average leverage factor of 8, meaning for every $1 of TIF that we are able to approve and utilize, we've been able to attract at least $8 of other public dollars and private dollars. So that's been pretty consistent. These projects are located in North Omaha, South Omaha, Midtown, Downtown, Exarban, these 10 projects that were approved. The types of activities that were proposed, over 1,200 units of housing, mostly apartments, 17 of those are single-family homes. At least 834 units are what we would consider homes that are targeted for low moderate income families and workforce lousing. Of those 834, 110 of those are funded using LIHTC, or low income housing tax credits. The other thing I want to highlight here is it's really important that we make sure that these projects are also helping to improve the public right-of-way. So you can see about $2.8 million is being directed toward helping the infrastructure of our city around these projects. So we talk about new projects that are approved. We also want to talk about what projects have paid off, those existing projects that have been around for at least the 15-year TIF term. Interestingly enough, only one paid off in 2024, and so I'm sure that's a shock, only one, and largely that's due to, when I looked back, of the projects that were approved around 2009, most of those paid off early, and so this one matured right at the 15-year time frame. So what we have been doing is taking a look at, well, if this project, in this case, this one, had not occurred, and there was no development at this redevelopment site, what would have happened? Just to kind of compare and contrast the purpose and what TIF does achieve. If there was no TIF at this particular redevelopment site, what we would have likely seen is between 35 and 46% increase in valuation at that site and tax revenues. So that means $790,000 in new tax valuation after 15 years is what we would have seen if there was no TIF or no redevelopment at all, and just $20,000 in revenues after 15 years. You contrast that with the fact that the City Council did approve a TIF project, and what occurred is over 4,000% increase in assessed valuation and revenues at this particular site, which is $87 million in a new valuation after 15 years. And for this particular site, after 15 years, $1.9 million in new revenues. That's compared to 20,000. So it's just another way to look at how these TIF projects do enhance the overall tax base, which is local, county, and state. Last slide. Let me just move this a little bit. So this particular table is designed, the legislature wanted all municipalities to look at this kind of data and present it. So I think the mouse, there we go. So each row represents TIF projects that were approved in that year. This column over here, base year, that basically indicates the year that project started. So the projects at the top are the oldest projects. Those will eventually be paying off in the next year or two. Down here at the bottom, those are the newest projects. And here's, of course, what the value that the project owner anticipated the final value to be at the very beginning. And so that means when they first approached the city to say, I want to do this project, and it goes through the approval process, they tell us they think that it's going to be X value. Every year, so over in this section, we look at, well, what is the value as of January 1st? I receive a report every year, January 1st, so we can see, well, what is the value of that property? This column over here, the far right column, is the column to really pay attention to. It's the cumulative achievement of those values. So for example, if I were on the row for 2008, it is saying as of 2008 for these particular projects in 2008, 7, 6, and 5, those projects achieved 97% of the anticipated value. So the assessors are saying, okay, these properties are about 97% of what they originally anticipated the value to be. And so that's been getting better is what I've seen. You can see right in here, this 2011 through maybe 2018 year, these projects are even doing better. And location matters. So, you know, it depends on the location. Some values are going to be even better than what the assessors have stated the value to be. So that's why it's over 100%. Overall, the main number for this table is 85%. So for this total portfolio of active TIF projects that Omaha has, which is 272 active TIF projects, they're achieving about 85% of what the value was anticipated to be. That ends my presentation, just to say that what this TIF program, by your approval, and all the people who are involved with looking at these projects, it's designed to achieve redevelopment, community development, economic development, infill development, revitalization. That is what these projects are achieving. So thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents today?
Yes, sir. Omaha City Council, Omaha, Nebraska, Donnie R. Johnson, the Johnson Equestrian Foundation, and North Omaha Concerned Citizen Foundation. By recommendation of Mr. Ken
Donnie,
Johnson.
your full address too, please.
4928 North 52nd Street, sir. In the meantime, Mr. Ken Johnson, who retired from the planning department, recommended to me, Ms. Bridget Hadley has a brilliant mind. I agree. But what I do disagree with is some of these projects, such as New York, Chicago, and Detroit. They all went with these apartment stuff, and it's a total mess. I got in trouble because my teacher here in Nebraska told me many years ago, studying future investments and these projects. She said, Roosevelt stayed too long and it was the country was in a disarray. I was studying Mr. Alan Greenspan. He was there too long.
You got to keep your remarks to the TIF report here.
The investments part of it. So I got in trouble for putting United States saving bonds all over the world because of Mr. Alan Greenspan.
No, that's not on topic.
Well, then, if you want to invest in TIF, can we also look in the process of this apartments and the parks and all that stuff? My generation, we had a submarine in the park. What do these kids got to play with today? Ben Gray said he's going to, on his TV show, said he's going to work with more of North Omaha. So these projects that you guys are doing with TIF, and I talked to the young ladies about this stuff that you're developing. And you go to New York, that might be the beginning for you, sir, because back in school, you guys got the wrong books.
Any other proponents on number 38? Seeing none, any opponents?
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. Thank you, Donnie. Presentation was all fine and good, lots of pretty things on the screen and words, but most of it, the average citizen doesn't comprehend what was being said. I would like to concentrate on 2 pages out of that report that I don't think we saw on the thing, because these 2 pages, number 3 and 4, I did my homework last night. Clarifies what I've been asking you folks to do many years at your meetings here, is to clarify how TIF actually works. These 2 pages pretty much say it. I'm going to say it in plain English because I'm not a lawyer. I don't practice lawfare. I do have a bachelor's degree and years of sales experience. And these 2 pages kind of prove what I've been saying or trying to get you to explain is true. If you ever watch the old cartoons with Popeye and Wimpy, TIF is kind of like a Wimpy burger. I promise to pay you today for tomorrow for a hamburger today. That's kind of what it's like. And the city does participate. When the city participates in one way or another, that affects my pocketbook. Therefore, I should, and every citizen should, have a right to a full explanation of how it affects my paper. Right here is it. It does spell out that it's not just the guy that had the TIF application, who, by the way, is sometimes also a realtor, a construction company, but also a realtor, okay? Arranges to get a property declared blighted and the value lowered before he even makes out an application. Then he goes up to the planning department and makes an application. And he goes to the tax department and gets a lower value because of it. So he probably gets it next to nothing, if not for nothing. And then along comes TIF, which includes the cost of acquisition. What does that mean? Explain it to us, because it sounds to me like that includes the cost of that guy buying that property. He probably didn't own the property to start with. Some did, but most of them don't. But they come to you and get the money through bonds or something. Acquisition cost, explain that. Sounds to me like you're saying, oh, the city's going to participate by giving you that money. Okay, in a bond? Okay, fine. How long does it take for bonds to pay back? But in the meantime, he pays lower property taxes because you blighted the property. Well, I'm sorry, the county did. Correct me. But he gets the lower value. Maybe he actually bought it, and maybe he didn't. Because if the city and county are paying acquisition costs, why would he? Huh? Why would I not if I could get it from the city and county through TIF? I can't afford to build a new one, so why shouldn't I apply for TIF? That would develop my neighborhood. That would develop my area, which, by the way, you might want to take a look and drive around, like I've told you before. The district and the Walnut Hill district is severely blighted. Not my street, but they are not a few blocks away from me. But you're doing nothing with that area and Walnut Hill. Saddle Creek, northwest Saddle Creek. Go sit out there and watch the vagrants and maybe the illegals busting into properties, boarding them up, not cleaning them up. And the street vendors right on Radio Highway, Northwest Radio, right on the corner of Hamilton Street. They unload power equipment, shoes, clothes out of their cars and sell them right there. City's doing nothing. Watch the people go up, drive, and watch the vagrants and the illegals, whoever they are, dumping their own garbage on some of the properties there, and the cars that are parked illegally according to city code on properties right behind the mayor's station.
Stay on TIF, please.
But every citizen should read these two letters, because that proves that, oh, yeah, we have not been told the truth about TIF. I'm not going to read them, but they're right there in writing on your website. They didn't have a handout today, but that proves a lot of what I'm saying. The big picture is we've not been told the truth about it. We've asked you to do that, and you've refused to do that. But it slipped out on the website last time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents to number 38? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you. Ms. Hadley.
Yes. Bridget
Hi.
Hadley, Planning.
Thank you. I kind of have some question. Maybe I might be catching you off guard, so if you don't have the answer, that's fine. In 2021, do you recall how many TIF projects there were?
No, I'd have to look that up. But it's on our website. I'm sure we can find it on our website.
For all of the previous years before 2024?
Yep. All of our annual city reports are on the website.
Would you say that there was a decline from 23 to 24?
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's what I,
Yes.
because that's what I kind of noticed.
Yes.
Was there a reason for the decline?
Yes, there is a reason. The economy is probably the simplest way to say it. These projects are brought to us from the private sector, and so they have to weigh their decisions on, can they take this project forward. We know all this happened, of course, since the pandemic. The interest rates have been probably the last nail in the coffin, if you will, other than increased construction costs, labor costs that they've had to, weigh through, which affects their decision on can they take a project forward. So interest rates has been the item that's really troubled a lot of developers. So The number of applications we get is dependent on all of those factors, and then how many of those can we get through our approval process. So the beginning of last year, we didn't have as many TIF applications. Takes about 5 to 6 months to get through our approval process. So those applications we received at the beginning of the year, those are the ones that typically get approved all the way through that particular year. As we got through to like June and the end of the year, we started seeing more TIF applications. So therefore, end of the year, more toward the beginning of this year, we're going to start seeing those come through. City Council will see those come through to be approved. So that's where you see the ebbs and flows. So it all depends on the number of applications we receive and that we're able to get through the approval process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Melton.
Ms. Hadley, I just want to again commend you. I love getting these reports every year. And I've used them. I've actually used them and put my own PowerPoints together. I think Councilman Harding helped with one of those presentations, but then we recommended that you come back and probably correct everything that we said that we didn't explain as well as you. And I do appreciate you explaining it again and again. Every year, you explain exactly how TIF works. It's a very easy to read, 15 pages, and it really kind of gives everybody that real big picture, but also gives you all the individual projects and exactly how much they are. So thank you for all your work. Thank you for getting this to us every year, because I go back to it multiple times a year to review it. I can't memorize all of the numbers that you have in here.
Me either.
But I really appreciate the amount of work that you put into it and the ease of which someone can read it, where you don't have to be a lawyer in order to read it and understand it. So thank you for that. I don't think anything slipped out. You've pretty much said the same thing every year, and it never really changes. But I appreciate you repeating it every year and then giving us the facts for the year. So thanks for all your hard work. And I'll move to, I think we're going to move to accept the report.
There's a motion and a second to accept. I'll just add one observation from my perspective. So as you noted, 10 projects approved in 2024, 4 of which were housing. And of those 4 projects, that produced a total of 1,202 housing units. 834 of those units were considered affordable or workforce housing. And that's positive. That's a much higher percentage, I think, than in some recent years. But I also want to put that in context for those of us that are interested in affordable housing and doing more in that area. When we know we're about 30,000 units short in the next 5 years, that puts in context that number. And it's going to take a lot more than tax increment financing to meet that challenge. And it's going to take a lot of additional tools and financing mechanisms I think we need to pursue. So I just wanted to make that observation in the context of your report, too. All right, thank you. There's a motion and a second to accept. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 39, an ordinance to approve a professional services agreement with Jacobs Project Management Company to provide professional construction management services on the Papio WRRF Phase 1 Secondary Treatment Design Project.
The public hearing on number 39 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 40, an ordinance to approve the 29th and Jackson Townhomes Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Agreement.
The public hearing on number 40 is today. Proponents, please.
Afternoon, Don Seaton, City Planning, and I'm here for any questions you have.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Max Honecker, owner, developer, and here to answer any questions as well.
Thanks. And Max, your address too?
Oh, sorry. 16245 California Street.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents?
Yes, sir, Mr. Fredson, Omaha City Council. Donnie R. Johnson, the Johnson Equestrian Foundation, and North Omaha Concerned Citizen Foundation, and a member of the United States Chamber of Commerce, United States Senate Chamber of Commerce, and a member of Omaha Chamber of Commerce.
You do need to repeat your address every time too, Donnie.
4928 North 52nd Street. And as I mentioned, I'd like not to tell all the things I have been a part of, like some of the investments I have all over the world. Those are not important to the city council, but what is important is some of the things, this TIF and this other stuff, and the direction the city may be going, because I believe if the negotiating had been done right, we would have lost the meatpacking plants in South Omaha. They screwed that up as well. So let's go back to the other process of our Beetlejuice in the Navy.
No, this has got to be the item number 40, 29th and Jackson.
Yeah, I know. The town
And
hall,
there's
it ain't gonna
there's
work,
no
dude.
props to the diocese either.
This is our Beetlejuice.
Okay. Any other opponents to number 40? Seeing none, public hearing's closed. Next item.
Item 41, an ordinance to approve a master agreement with DeMarsh Associates, Inc. to provide financial services to the city of Omaha.
Public hearing on number 41 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 42, an ordinance to establish a Class B flammable liquids storage district number B-225 located at 5018 Ames Avenue.
Public hearing on number 42 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 43, an ordinance to establish a Class B flammable liquids storage district number B-223 located at 8105 J Street.
Public hearing on number 43 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 44, an ordinance to approve the Omaha Downtown Improvement District Association 2025-2026 budget and work plan, levying a special tax and assessment on all lots and pieces of real estate within BID number 6874.
The public hearing on number 44 is today. We have the proponent by Zoom, Ms. Barrett. All right, try that.
Good afternoon. Holly Barrett, Executive Director of the Omaha Downtown Improvement District, 1403 Farnham, number 802. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents on number 44? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Non-action items, items 45 through 61, do not require a public hearing or city council consideration at this meeting, but will be placed on a future agenda for public hearing and/or vote. The reason for non-action is noted after the item on the agenda, as well as the date the item is expected to appear on agenda for consideration.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion and a second. Roll call.
Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 3:52.